Be ready. 5 seconds. Prolixity is not alien to us in India. We are able to talk at some length. Krishna Menon's record of the longest speech ever delivered at the United Nations, 9 hours non-stop, established half a century ago when Menon was leading the Indian delegation, has not been equaled by anyone from anywhere. This is not a new habit. The ancient Sanskrit epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which are frequently compared with the Iliad and the Odyssey, are colossally longer than the works that the modest Homer could manage. Indeed, the Mahabharata alone is about 7 times as long as the Iliad and the Odyssey put together. The Ramayana and the Mahabharata are certainly great epics. I recall with much joy how my own life was vastly enriched when I encountered them first as a restless youngster looking for intellectual stimulation as well as sheer entertainment. But they proceed from stories to stories woven around their principal tales and are engagingly full of dialogues, dilemmas, and alternative perspectives. And we encounter masses of arguments and counter-arguments spread over incessant debates and disputations. The arguments are also often enough quite substantive. For example, the famous Bhagavad Gita, which is one small section of the Mahabharata, presents a tussle between two contrary moral positions. Krishna's emphasis on doing one's duty on one side and Arjuna's focus on avoiding bad consequences and generating good ones on the other. The debate occurs on the eve of the great war that is a central event in the Mahabharata. Watching the two armies readying for war, profound doubts about the correctness of what they are doing are raised by Arjuna, the peerless and invincible warrior in the army of the just and honorable royal family, who are about to fight the unjust usurpers. Arjuna questions whether it is right to be concerned only with one's duty to promote a just cause and be indifferent to the misery and the slaughter even of one's kin that the war itself would undoubtedly cause. Krishna, a divine incarnation in the form of human being, argues against Arjuna. His response takes the form of articulating principles of action based on the priority of doing one's duty, which have been repeated again and again in Indian philosophy. Krishna insists on Arjuna's duty to fight, irrespective of his evaluation of the consequences. It is a just cause, and as a warrior and a general on whom his side must rely, Arjuna cannot waver from his obligations, no matter what the consequences are. Krishna's haloing of the demands of duty wins the argument, at least as seen in the religious perspective. Indeed, Krishna's conversations with Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, became a treatise of great theological importance in Hindu philosophy, focusing particularly on the removal of Arjuna's doubts. Krishna's moral position has also been eloquently endorsed by many philosophical and literary commentators across the world, such as Christopher Isherwood and T.S. Eliot. Isherwood, in fact, translated the Bhagavad Gita into English. This admiration for the Gita and for Krishna's arguments in particular has been a lasting phenomenon in parts of European culture. This was spectacularly praised in the early 19th century by Wilhelm von Humboldt as the most beautiful, perhaps the only true philosophical song existing in any known tongue. And yet, as a debate in which there are two reasonable sides, the epic Mahabharata itself presents sequentially each of the two contrary arguments with much care and sympathy. Indeed, the tragic desolation that the post-combat and post-carnage land, largely the Indo-Gangetic plain, seems to face towards the end of the Mahabharata can even be seen as something of a vindication of Arjuna's profound doubts. Arjuna's contrary arguments are not really vanquished, no matter what the message of the Bhagavad Gita is meant to be. There remains a powerful case for faring well and not just forward. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the leader of the American team that developed the ultimate weapon of mass destruction during the Second World War, was moved to quote Krishna's words as he watched on 16 July 1945 the awesome force of the first nuclear explosion devised by man. Like the advice that Arjuna had received about his duty as a warrior fighting for a just cause, Oppenheimer, the physicist, could well find justification in his technical commitment to develop a bomb for what was clearly the right side. Scrutinizing his own actions, Oppenheimer said later on, "When you see something that is technically sweet, you go ahead and do it, and you argue about what to do about it only after you have had your technical success." Despite that compulsion to fare forward, there was reason also for reflecting on Arjuna's concerns. How can good come from killing so many people? And why should I seek victory, kingdom, or happiness for my own side?